Welcome to Professor Diaries Presents The Biology of Aging. Why do we grow old? Aging is not just a matter of years. It's a story written into our very cells. Every line on our face has a root in biochemistry. And every stiff joint carries a whisper from our mitochondria. But what if we could decode this story? What if we could understand why we age, and possibly how to slow it down? Today we enter the biological core of aging. It's a journey from the cell nucleus to the soul, from the damage in our DNA to the decay in our destiny. Welcome to the biology of aging, where science, spirituality, and consciousness intersect. Aging begins long before we notice it, sometimes in our 30s and, sometimes even earlier, and it starts with the tiniest units of life, cells. Inside each cell is a nucleus. Inside that, a tightly wound molecule called DNA. This is the master code that tells your body how to function. But with time, this code starts to fray. Each time a cell divides, it copies its DNA. But no copying system is perfect. Mistakes accumulate. These mistakes are called mutations. One major reason behind aging is this: a gradual accumulation of genetic damage. The body has a self-repair mechanism, but with age, this repair system slows down. Think of it like a library where books keep falling apart, and the librarian is too tired to fix them. Over time, this leads to errors in cell function. Muscles weaken, immune responses slow, the skin loses elasticity, and memory begins to fade. But that's not all. There's another actor in this play. One that sits at the end of our DNA strands: telomeres. Telomeres are like the plastic tips at the end of shoelaces. They protect the DNA from unraveling. Every time a cell divides, telomeres shorten, and when they get too short, the cell dies or malfunctions. This is called cellular senescence, and it is a key driver of aging. Short telomeres mean short life. Modern science now studies telomerase, an enzyme that rebuilds telomeres. If controlled, it could be a key to longevity, but if misused, it can cause cancer. Nature balances life through delicate tensions. And, aging is that balancing act in action, but genetics is just one piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about the powerhouses of the cell. Mitochondria. They convert food into energy. Every breath you take, every step you walk is fueled by mitochondrial energy. But mitochondria also age. With time, they become less efficient. They start producing more waste than energy. This waste is called free radicals. So, free radicals damage cells. They attack membranes, proteins, and even DNA. This is called oxidative stress, and honestly, it is one of the biggest drivers of aging. Antioxidants help neutralize free radicals. That's why foods like berries, tulsi, and turmeric are just so powerful. Ancient Ayurveda knew this long ago. It prescribed rasayana therapies, rejuvenation techniques using herbs, fasting, and breathwork. Science is only now catching up. But why does the body allow this decline? Why does it not just keep renewing forever? In youth, we have plenty of stem cells, but as we age, they decrease in number and power. Our ability to repair declines. Wounds take longer to heal. Organs lose function. Aging becomes visible. Stem cell therapies are now emerging globally, from Japan to Germany, from India to the United States, but the ethical and biological risks remain. We are only beginning to understand the language of cellular regeneration. So aging is multifactorial: genetic damage, telomere shortening, mitochondrial decline, oxidative stress, stem cell depletion. But beyond biology, there is behavior. Poor diet, lack of sleep, stress, toxins, inactivity. These accelerate aging far more than time itself. You know, a 40-year-old with mindful habits may actually be biologically younger than, say, a 25-year-old who's constantly under stress and, well, overloaded with sugar. Aging, it's really not just about the time that's passed. It's also honestly about time that's been misused. Even our thoughts, believe it or not, affect aging. Negative thinking releases stress hormones, and chronic cortisol can actually damage our cells. Whereas, on the other hand, meditation, gratitude, and laughter release healing neurochemicals. You are not just what you eat. You are what you believe. You are what you think, breathe, and feel. Quantum science now suggests that biology responds to consciousness. Your mind can signal cells to repair, regrow, and rejuvenate. This is not magic, it is bioinformational physics. And our breath is the bridge. In Swar Vigyan, the Vedic science of breath, the right and left nostrils control different brain hemispheres. Balanced breathing repairs the nervous system. And when the breath is stable, so is cellular signaling. Modern science calls this coherence. Ancient India called it prana shodhana. We are returning full circle. To age gracefully is to align biology with consciousness, to eat mindfully, to breathe rhythmically, to think positively, to live on purpose. You may not control the clock, but you can control how you walk through time. This is the true biology of aging. So if this transformed your thinking, comment "I choose biological freedom" below. Share this video with a friend, student, or doctor. Like to support this series. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to Professor Diaries for more. You can also watch more at youtube.com/@profsing2025. Support the mission, a fusion of AI, spiritual consciousness, and soul technology. Just tap the shopping bag icon to support. Join the Telegram Inner Circle for premium insights. And coming soon, Ageless Wisdom Digital Course, Professor Diaries, Redefining Education for the Future. Episode 3, Part 2, The Biology of Aging. Why do we grow old? Professor Diaries presents a fusion of AI, Vedic wisdom, and quantum biology. Aging is not just about cells breaking down. It's about systems losing symphony. It's the silent collapse of biological harmony. In this part, we explore the systemic breakdown behind aging. Not just cells, but immunity, hormones, glands, guts, and even time itself. Welcome to Part 2 of the Biology of Aging. Now let's explore the deeper layers of why we grow old. Let's begin with the immune system, our internal army. When we are young, immunity is sharp, swift, and strong. It detects and destroys threats instantly. But with age, this system slows. White blood cells decrease, antibody response fades, and well, we become more vulnerable to infections, inflammation, and autoimmune disorders. This decline is called immunosenescence. It's why older people catch flu more often, and why chronic inflammation persists. In fact, scientists now use a term called inflammaging. It means low-grade chronic inflammation that speeds up aging. Episode 3, Part 2, The Biology of Aging, Why Do We Grow Old? Professor Diaries presents a fusion of AI, Vedic wisdom, and quantum biology. Aging is not just about cells breaking down, it's about systems losing symphony. It's the silent collapse of biological harmony. In this part, we explore the systemic breakdown behind aging. Not just cells, but immunity, hormones, glands, guts, and even time itself. Welcome to part 2 of the biology of aging, the deeper layers of why we grow old. Let's begin with the immune system, our internal army. When we are young, immunity is sharp, swift, and strong. It detects and destroys threats instantly, but with age, this system slows. White blood cells decrease, antibody response fades, and we become more vulnerable to infections, inflammation, and autoimmune disorders. This decline is called immunosenescence. It's why older people catch flu more often, and why chronic inflammation persists. In fact, scientists now use a term called inflammaging. It means low-grade chronic inflammation that speeds up aging. From joint pain to heart disease, inflammaging is a silent killer. But what triggers this inflammation? One culprit is gut health. The gut is actually the command center of immunity. 70% of immune cells reside in the intestine. But with age, the gut microbiome changes. Bad bacteria increase while good bacteria decline. Nutrient absorption falls and toxins leak into the blood. This is called leaky gut syndrome, and it's honestly a major driver of systemic inflammation. Ancient Ayurveda knew this. The digestive fire, or Agni, was considered central to health. When Agni is weak, disease follows. But when Agni is strong, longevity thrives. Next, let's talk hormones, the chemical messengers of life. With age, our hormonal balance shifts. Estrogen, testosterone, growth hormone, melatonin all start to decline. And with this decline comes fatigue, muscle loss, weight gain, mood swings, low libido, and poor sleep. Hormonal aging is subtle but powerful. Even a small dip in hormones can drain life energy. For example, melatonin, our sleep hormone, is not just for rest. It is a powerful antioxidant. As melatonin drops, sleep quality falls, and cell repair suffers. Likewise, growth hormone levels peak in youth. They maintain tissue regeneration and cell healing. But after 30, they decline rapidly, and aging speeds up. Now add to this the decline of the endocrine glands, thyroid, pineal, pituitary, and adrenals. These glands govern metabolism, energy, and stress response, and with age, their efficiency drops. The pineal gland, long revered in Vedic wisdom, is known as the seat of the soul, the Ajna chakra. Modern science now suggests that it plays a role in circadian rhythm, hormone balance, and even anti-aging. When this gland calcifies, the body loses track of light, sleep, and time, and aging deepens. There's also, a kind of mystical connection. The pineal gland is believed to connect body and mind. When this link weakens, the biological spirit diminishes. Aging is not just physical, it's also energetic. Now let's discuss cellular waste management. Your body has a self-cleaning process called autophagy. It clears out damaged cells and rebuilds new ones. But autophagy slows with age. Intermittent fasting boosts autophagy. Sleep restores it. On the other hand, high-sugar diets and constant snacking block it. Aging is, essentially, a failure of autophagy. The trash keeps piling up and, the body chokes on its own waste. Modern longevity research now focuses on activating autophagy. Fasting windows, NAD boosters, mitochondrial supplements, and plant molecules like resveratrol and curcumin are all being explored, as ways to support healthy aging. But these technologies aren't actually new. Ancient Indian practices, like Amavat Shodhana, which is a form of detox, and seasonal rituals of clean eating already harnessed these principles long before modern science gave them new names. Now let's travel to a deeper question. What is time, really? Aging is a measurement of time, but time in physics is relative. In quantum mechanics, time can slow, reverse, or even disappear. So why does biology obey a linear clock? Maybe it doesn't. So, experiments show that emotions, attention, and perception can actually affect the speed of time as it's felt by the brain. A joyful moment, for example, feels so short, while a painful one just seems endless. But what if, cells also feel time? What if aging is actually a response to perceived stress, to emotional states, or maybe even to a lack of purpose? Some studies now suggest that spiritual people, those with a strong inner purpose, well, they tend to age more slowly. Their biological age is actually younger than their chronological age. Faith, gratitude, meditation, these aren't just spiritual tools, they're biological tools too. Aging isn't only in the body, it's in the mind, the breath, the habits, and honestly, the sense of self. So, the future of aging, well, it's not going to be about anti-wrinkle creams. It's going to be about anti-inflammatory thoughts, anti-fragmented lifestyles, and, pro-coherent systems. Biology isn't destiny, it's information. And honestly, information can be updated. You are not just a collection of cells. You are a field of energy, intelligence, and choice. When you align your food, sleep, breath, beliefs, and meaning, you slow aging at its root. You can't stop the sun from rising, but you can align your life with its light, and that is true agelessness. Comment "I choose inner longevity" if you believe aging can be slowed. Share this video with family, students, or health experts. Like to spread the wisdom. Subscribe to Professor Diaries for the next episode. Watch more at https://w.youtube.com/@prof.sing2025. Support the mission, a fusion of AI, spiritual consciousness, and soul technology. Shop via the bag icon to support our research. Join our Telegram Inner Circle for ageless insights. Coming soon, Ageless Wisdom Digital Course, Professor Diaries, where science meets soul. Episode 4, Part 1. The Psychology of Aging, How the Mind Shapes Our Years. Professor Diaries presents a fusion of AI, neuroscience, Vedic psychology, and conscious aging. Aging doesn't begin in the body, it begins in the mind. Our perceptions, beliefs, emotions, and memories shape how fast or slow we age. This is the science of psychological aging. The body follows where the mind leads. Let us start with one simple truth. Stress is accelerated aging. Every negative thought creates a biological consequence. Every long-held fear imprints the nervous system. This is not just spiritual language, it is neurobiology. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes overactive with chronic stress. This triggers constant cortisol release, which causes inflammation, muscle loss, and cell damage. Repeated stress shrinks the hippocampus, our memory center. It slows neurogenesis and blocks emotional resilience. The mind, left unhealed, becomes a clock that speeds up time, and stress is the invisible hand turning that clock faster. Now think of trauma. Past emotional wounds can get stored in the body, in the cells, in the muscles, in the tissues. Somatic memory, a field of science, shows that trauma survives physiologically, even when forgotten mentally. Old grief can turn into autoimmune disease. Suppressed shame can become thyroid issues. Chronic loneliness can slow immunity. When the mind feels old, the body quickly follows. Now enter neuroplasticity. The good news is, the brain can rewire, the mind can change, and aging can be slowed. Even in old age, new neurons can be born, new connections can be formed, new life patterns can be written, but only if we consciously train the mind. Thoughts are not just ideas, they are signals to every cell. Thoughts of gratitude improve immune function. Thoughts of hope regulate heart rhythm. Thoughts of joy stimulate growth hormones. Modern science calls this psychoneuroimmunology. Ancient science called it manomaya kosha, the mental sheath that shapes the body. Let us now talk about identity. Who you think you are directly shapes how you age. If you believe you are too old to learn, the brain stops creating learning pathways. If you believe life is over at 60, the body shifts into decline mode. But if you see age as expansion, the brain responds with growth. The yo-yo mind is the enemy of agelessness. Calmness, focus, and inner purpose are the fuel of longevity. Now let's introduce the role of emotions. Emotions are, well, like biochemical storms. Each one shifts our physiology in a unique way. For example, anger tightens our muscles and raises blood pressure. Fear, on the other hand, slows digestion. Sadness can actually lower immunity, and guilt tends to shrink our energy. But love? Love expands the lungs, calms the heart, and even repairs immune cells. In fact, studies show that elders who feel loved and purposeful actually have longer telomeres, which are the genetic markers of biological age. Loneliness, on the other hand, is just as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The mind really needs meaning to survive and connection to stay young. So what can we do? Mindfulness is a tool we can use to slow aging. Every minute spent in silent awareness reduces stress signals, balances cortisol, and activates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is, honestly, a secret to agelessness. It connects the brain, heart, gut, and immune system. Deep breathing, gratitude, humming, and prayer, they all activate this nerve and send signals of safety to the body. The result? Less inflammation, a better mood, and stronger cells. Even AI is now being used to track mood patterns, offer mental health insights, and support the psychology of healthy aging. But, machines can only assist. The real revolution is internal. Vedic psychology understood this centuries ago. The aging mind was never feared, it was honored. As Vanaprastha, the stage of wisdom, it's a time to turn inward, a time to harvest wisdom, a time to cleanse the karmic mind. Without this stage, aging feels empty. With it, aging becomes sacred. So what should you remember? You are not just your body's age. You are the age of your thoughts. You are the age of your gratitude. You are the age of your emotional habits. If you want to age gracefully, age mindfully. If you want to stay young, stay curious. If you want to grow old happily, grow through love. The mind is the master clock. Reset it, and the body follows. All right, here's a quick call to action. Comment, "I reset my inner clock" to show your commitment to mental longevity. Share this video with teachers, elders, students, or anyone facing emotional burnout. Like this video to support conscious aging. Subscribe to Professor Diaries for Part 2. And hey, don't forget to watch the full playlist at the link in the description. And now, just a quick promotional note. Support the mission, a fusion of AI, spiritual consciousness, and soul technology. You can shop via the bag icon to support our educational journey. Coming soon, Ageless Mind, the course on emotions, neuroscience, and dharmic aging. Join our Telegram Inner Circle for weekly psycho-spiritual tools. Professor Diaries, where science meets spirit. Thank you so much for joining us today. Stay connected with Professor Diaries, and remember, your journey to conscious aging starts now. Aging isn't just physical decline, it's a shift in consciousness. Our minds hold stories, beliefs, fears, hopes, and these shape how we age. In this part, we explore memory, cognition, emotions, and the sacred art of mental healing. Memory is the first to falter as we age. But why? The brain's hippocampus, the memory library, shrinks with age. But this shrinkage is accelerated by lifestyle, stress, and neglect. It's not age alone. It's inactivity, isolation, and mental rigidity. The more you challenge the mind, the longer memory remains sharp. Studies show that elders who learn new languages, play musical instruments, or even solve puzzles retain cognition far longer. But memory isn't just about brain chemicals. It's about meaning. Meaningful memories stay. Traumatic ones hide. Trivial ones disappear. Aging is a process of selective remembering and of deep forgetting. But what if forgetting isn't failure? What if it's a filter? The Vedic view sees aging as a return to essence. The brain releases what's unnecessary and holds only that which serves liberation. Unresolved emotions grow louder with age, not quieter. Grief, guilt, regret. These emotions can age you from the inside out. But the second half of life is a time of release. It's the era of inner spring cleaning. Forgiveness isn't a luxury. It's medicine. When you forgive others, life, yourself, you decompress your nervous system. Emotions are energy in motion. When suppressed, they stagnate. When expressed, they heal. Crying isn't weakness, it's cleansing. Silence isn't escape, it's alignment. Aging gracefully means letting go with honor, not with bitterness. The greatest risk in old age is not disease, it's purposelessness. When a person feels useless, the immune system begins to fail. When meaning vanishes, cells start to die early. But when elders are seen as keepers of wisdom, their bodies respond with vitality. Communities that honor elders live longer, healthier, and happier. From the Maasai of Africa to the Japanese Okinawans, purpose is a pill more powerful than any medicine. So ask yourself, what is my purpose in this stage? Even a simple daily intention can reprogram the mind for longevity. Time isn't a clock, it's a perception. The more mindful you are, the slower time feels. Presence is the antidote to rush, and the remedy to regret. Meditation isn't escape, it's neuroscientific repair. 10 minutes of meditation can lower blood pressure, calm the heart, and regenerate brain tissue. And it does more, it trains the mind to step out of past-future looping. Aging stops feeling like decline, and starts feeling like unfolding. How you store your life is how you live it. If you say, I am old and tired, your cells will listen. If you say, I am evolving and learning, your cells will respond differently. AI systems are now learning to predict disease based on language patterns. Words are data, and your daily language shapes biological responses. Vedic rishis knew this. They chanted mantras not for sound, but for cellular alignment. You are your story. Rewrite it wisely. Vanaprastha, the third stage of life, was designed as a mental transition, not retirement, but realignment. Rituals included early morning silence or Brahma Muhurta, chanting to regulate breath and mood, daily reading of spiritual texts to activate the Ajna chakra, and inner reflection, known as Svadhyaya. Each of these had a neurological purpose and a longevity impact. Modern science is now validating them as brain-boosting, heart-calming, immune-enhancing practices. We are just rediscovering what our ancestors lived daily. What if aging isn't decay, but initiation? In tribal cultures, the elder is the oracle, the storyteller, the visionary. The world needs more wisdom keepers, not more data producers. Being old isn't a burden. It's a privilege to be passed on. You are not retiring. You are returning to truth, to love, to stillness. The psychology of aging is spiritual psychology. When you align mind, heart, soul, time stops working against you and starts working with you. Comment, I honor the wisdom within me to join our ageless mind movement. Share with elders, therapists, students, or anyone seeking mental peace. Like to support our vision of mindful aging? Subscribe to Professor Diaries for the next episode. Full playlist available at youtube.com/@prof.sing2025. Support this mission, a fusion of AI, Vedic science, and neuroconsciousness. Shop via the bag icon to fuel our learning projects. Coming soon, Ageless Mind, the Inner Healing Digital Course. Join the Telegram Inner Circle for weekly tools. Explore the future of aging at Professor Diaries. When a person grows old, do they just lose hair, teeth, or strength? Or do they lose something much deeper? A role, a relationship, a reason to be? Aging isn't just physical, it's social. The biology of aging begins in the body, but its trauma is often stored in the heart. In this episode, we explore the social side of aging, the hidden impact of isolation, the power of belonging, the loss of relevance, and the beauty of intergenerational wisdom. Loneliness isn't just sadness, it's a biological stressor. Modern research shows that chronic loneliness can be as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yes, you heard that right. It increases the risk of heart disease, Alzheimer's, and early death. but it's worse because it's invisible. A person may be surrounded by family, yet feel alone. They may attend functions, but feel unseen. Loneliness is not the absence of people, it's the absence of connection. And for elders, this becomes deadlier with time. In many cultures today, youth is celebrated. Age is ignored. Elders are not seen as wisdom keepers. They're seen as burdens, dependents, or retired. But what does retired mean? Retired from what? Life? Dignity? Purpose? Ageism isn't just a social problem. It is a psychological wound. When an elder is ignored, their self-worth shrinks. When they are mocked for slowness, they shut down. When they're excluded from discussion, they forget how to express themselves. This loss of social identity directly impacts cognitive decline, but this can be reversed. The moment you ask an elder for guidance, their eyes light up, their body posture changes, their voice becomes alive. They remember they are needed, and that remembrance heals. In traditional Indian society, joint families were the norm. Grandparents were storytellers, guides, child-rearing partners. They were rooted. The family tree was visible. Today, many families are scattered. Across cities, continents, time zones, grandparents become FaceTime figures, not daily supports. The loss of intergenerational bonding is not just cultural, it's neurological. Studies show that children who interact with grandparents develop greater empathy, patience, and cognitive flexibility. And elders who interact with children remain mentally sharp, happier, and more physically active. Aging isn't about moving away, it's about moving together. In a world where human connection is shrinking, can technology bridge the gap? The answer is yes, but cautiously. Robotic companions like Pero, the seal robot, have been used in Japan and Europe to help dementia patients feel less alone. The robot responds to touch, makes soothing noises, and builds a bond through routine. AI chatbots now offer daily check-ins to elders, remind them to take medicines, and even listen to stories. In some cases, these bots become emotional anchors. But caution, tech cannot replace love. It can only complement it. The ideal future combines both, family presence and tech support. Not a robotic future, but a responsible one. Who am I after retirement? For years, a person is a teacher, an engineer, the head of the family. Then suddenly, they're old. This is psychological collapse. When role vanishes, so does the structure of the self. That's why the Vedic system defined 4 ashrams of life. Brahmacharya, which is learning, Grihastha, meaning family, Vanaprastha for withdrawal, and Sannyasa for liberation. Nothing ends, everything evolves. Vanaprastha was never meant to be useless time. It was designed for mentorship. An aging person is not outdated. They are upgraded. They're no longer executors. They become guiding lights. A society that forgets this, forgets its own future. Rituals are ancient technologies. Daily tea with neighbors, temple gatherings, laughter clubs in parks, evening artists, Saturday satsangs. These are not old people's routines. They are structured social vaccines against depression and cognitive decline. Group rituals lower cortisol, enhance oxytocin, activate mirror neurons, and maintain neural complexity. In Japan, the Moai system is a network of lifetime social support groups that ensure no one dies alone. India had its own versions, the Bhajan Mandalis, the Panchayat Chopals, and Guru circles. Reclaiming these rituals is a form of psychosocial healing. An elder who shares a story is not rambling, they're transmitting DNA. Every story told by a grandparent carries emotional resilience, cultural memory, and moral compass. But when we don't listen, that bridge collapses, and a civilization loses its roots. Universities now call this oral intelligence, but our rishis called it parampara. Integrating intergenerational spaces, schools inviting grandparents, youth learning from elders, family discussions at dinner, all these rebuild the bridge, not for the old alone, but for the young who'll one day grow old too. Comment: I value our elders. Share this with families, students, and educators. Like to support the return of social balance. Subscribe to Professor Diaries for next episode. Support this movement, the fusion of consciousness, culture, and social neuroscience. Shop via the bag icon to help us grow. Join our Telegram circle for weekly insights. Coming soon, Elder Wisdom, a digital course on aging and society. Follow the full series on Professor Diaries.